They say that kids who grow up with a dog grow up to become more well adjusted adults. I didn't have a dog because my dad didn't want to take allergy pills every day. Instagram is making people dumber. Um, People are now doing things just for their Instagram and to get pictures and videos to impress the people that follow them. Like with gender reveal parties, they use explosives to reveal the gender, or people are now paying to be photoshopped in pictures with the landmark or food pictures just in general. Let me start with gender reveal parties. Gender reveal parties started with a cake, right? And then people started using firecrackers, and then because they saw people use firecrackers, they wanted to be more elaborate to get likes on Instagram, right? And because these people are stupid, they now go to the woods with these explosives, and that's starting fires, right? People are wasting their money to impress other people. There's no other reason to use explosives at a gender reveal party. So who are these people? They're the ones that complain about that they don't have any money, right? Well, Megan, maybe if you didn't spend money pretending to go to Maui, you'd have money for dinner, right? That leads me into food pictures. The food picture is nothing worthy of taking a picture of if you can get the meal at a restaurant, because I can get that same meal. And if you cooked that meal and I can't have it, then I don't really care. So either way, you can't win with a food picture, right? So what's the solution to this Instagram issue? My solution is to create bots, and I call them knowledge bots. They're bots that comment different things on certain pictures. Like for Photoshop landmarks, you can use you can say like, "Oh, dude, instead of spending $200 on this fucking picture, you could have bought like a 50-pound bag of rice, maybe 3 or 4, and then you would have food to eat." For a gender reveal party or a gender reveal video, whatever, you can say, for the amount you spent on explosives, you could have bought 6 boxes of diapers. Don't complain when you don't have money for diapers. And then for food pictures, just say no one cares. My hope is that people will start to feel like shit. Then they might actually start to do things that have value, right? They'll learn skills. They'll contribute positively to society, right? All because they feel like shit. In reality, if an Instagram comment can make you feel like shit, then change your life. There's a huge problem that's going to show up in a couple years on the internet, and we have to deal with it. Instagram influencers are getting older, and we need to prevent 70-year-old Instagram influencers from, showing up on our feeds, with wrinkles and stretch marks. It's disgusting. Let's just prevent it. No one wants to see that, right? So what we need to do is we need to set up a standard of a retirement of their choosing. And I have a solution for this. Pregnancy. As soon as an Instagram influencer gets pregnant, that's their retirement. So when they announce that they're pregnant, that's when people comment and they say, happy retirement, and all those things, congratulating them on their retirement. And why I want to choose this is because, first of all, people choose to get pregnant. You don't have to get pregnant, right? So it's not forcing them into retirement. And when you after the pregnancy, now you have a kid, and now you're an Instagram influencer. showing your clam on Instagram, like, no, you're a mom now, get it together, right? No one wants to see that. Your kids can see that, and their friends can see that too, and they're gonna make fun of your kid at school. And then other PTA moms, they're gonna be whispering about you. They're gonna be like, hey, did you see Megan and that picture on Instagram of her clam? No, you don't need that, right? You're the one that chose to have a kid. You know the rules. You didn't have to, right? You need to start the transition from Instagram influencer to mommy blogger. And that way, you can still use the internet and make money on the internet. But the only thing is, instead of taking pictures without your clothes, maybe make posts about baby clothes and kids' clothes and all that other stuff. You're going to lose 99% of your audience, but there's going to be that 1% that'll stay, right? Or what you can do is get a real job, right? And then for men, because we're inclusive here, they're going to retire when their skin starts to wrinkle. People should start commenting, put a shirt on, right? And that way they know people don't want to see them without their shirt. Have you ever wondered what Instagram influencers would be doing if Instagram doesn't exist? Well, if you haven't, I have, and I have 3 solutions or 3 ideas. So my first idea is they would be a sign waiver for like a used car lot or Subway, and that way they could still wear their workout clothes, waving the sign around, like having the sign over their head like a UFC or boxing ring girl, just waving it around up and down, making sure everyone could still see their clothes, right? And then guys would stop in front of them and be like, oh, what are you selling? Because no one would actually know what they're saying, right? Or what they're selling. My next idea is that they would be a tour guide for like a haunted house or some other place that needs tour guides. And that way they could also wear their workout clothes, and it wouldn't really matter what they're saying. All they would really need to do is like take people through the house, right? And just point at it and be like, oh, this is where they eat dinner. This is where they watch TV. And then guys would start showing up to the tour, and that would bring in that tour, that haunted house, more money, right? And then my next idea would be they would be like a sales model for like fridges at Home Depot, right? They don't really have to do anything. They might like just have a tiny show where they open the fridge and close it and like show all the compartments. Nothing really too hard, nothing that takes a lot of brain power. That's very similar to an Instagram model actually, because they just take the picture with the cream or whatever they're selling. They would draw huge crowds, right? But there's nothing to do at Home Depot, so they just end up watching the show in quotes, right? And then Home Depot would start selling fridges with beer, or put beer in the fridges, so that way they could sell the beer to the fridges, or to the people watching the show in quotes, right? And get people to stay longer, because once they drink it, they can't drive, right? But in reality, they would either be like a trophy wife or a trophy girlfriend, and they would try to get people to join Amway or like sell Tupperware and have Tupperware parties. And then guys, they would be those people in the backgrounds of like workout video infomercials, and they'd be working out in the background like looking ripped, but they're not actually doing anything. Yeah, so those are some ideas that I have. LeBron James is the greatest athlete on Instagram. He's more worried about the amount of likes he's getting on his picture than playing the game, which is why he always needs to change teams and recruit players, because the more time he spends on Instagram, the more help he needs, right? This is why he's never going to be as good as Michael Jordan. No matter how many rings he has, he'll never be as good. Does Jordan even have an Instagram account, right? You could call LeBron James a victim of his time. Jordan didn't have the internet to distract him while he played, right? But, Jordan still had the option to record his workouts, and he could have released them to the public while he was playing, right? That would be his own version of Instagram. He could have created workout videos or just released them on ESPN. He also could have done that after he retired, and that would be a little different. I'd always imagine if LeBron James was part of the Jordan era, it wouldn't surprise me if his career ended up like Charles Barkley. He gets all these awards, MVP, All-Star appearances, right? But he never wins a championship. And Charles Barkley was also a mover. I think he played on 3 different teams, the same amount as LeBron James right now. During the off season, he's in all these commercials instead of working out. These are all things that he could do to put on his Instagram account. If there was an Instagram back then. So after LeBron James retires, here's what he's gonna do. He needs to stay relevant, right? He would be a TV analyst, and that way he literally stays on camera. And then that way he could post on his Instagram whenever he's on TV, right? Because he's a guy that makes career moves for his Instagram account. He moved to LA to get better outdoor pictures, right? Because, there's more sun in LA. And he's moved to different teams just for the opportunity to post those new team photos, like a new jersey, new coach, new teammates, things like that. So that's why LeBron James is the greatest athlete on Instagram, right? Not on the planet, on Instagram. Twitter is a great platform, but one thing I hate about Twitter is Twitter's trending topics. The one thing I hate about it is that you see people's reactions to news and not the actual news. I don't know how to feel about something or a trending topic because I don't actually know what's going on when I look at trending topics, right? When I see a name trending, I think they're dead, right? I'm better off just Googling the topic instead of, reading through Twitter's trending topics. I get a little nervous when I see people's names like Kid Cudi, because I think they may have died, right? But I'm hoping like names like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk shows up, so that way they've died. I think I have a solution for the problem though. When a famous person name shows up, they could put "not dead" in the description, and so that way I don't have to bother clicking, right? I just know they're not dead. And then they could let me customize my news sources, like make it so that I only want to see news from dogs.com or something like that, right? And then let people pick the famous people they want to see, or to be notified that they've died, right? So you have "not dead," and then you have, hey, they're dead, and because it's the one person that you've subscribed to their death, right? As soon as you see, no need for guessing, no need to leave Twitter and look it up, right?
And then once they've died, Twitter can automatically remove their name from the list, right? I already got the news I wanted. I don't need anything else, right? And then does Twitter use an algorithm for the news that they show me, right? Not only do I not see actual news, but I see news that I have no interest in. Like, I've showed no interest in some of the news I see. Like, they'll show me news for country music, and I've never talked about country music. I've never looked up something about country music on Twitter. People that I follow, they're not interested in country music. They don't tweet about it, right? So then, why am I seeing uh, trending topics about country news? There's no reason I should be seeing that news. So yeah, I wonder if they use an algorithm or it's just like the top news that's of the day, and that's why I'm seeing that news. I don't know.
The YouTube comment section is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Some videos might have comments that are funnier than the actual video. Or you might find people arguing about conspiracy theories. Either way, they're not good for your health, right? The types of comments mostly depend on the types of videos that you watch. A video about pizza, you'll find funny comments. A video about finance, you'll get some conspiracy theories. You have to choose wisely. How do I deal with YouTube comments? The boring way is I have an extension that will block the comments from even showing up. Right? But I have one funny way to deal with the comments. I create my own conspiracy theories to add to the comments and get people to react. And I think in many cases, their reactions are funny, right? But these conspiracy theories are not generic ones like Bush did 9/11 or Epstein didn't kill himself. See, that's too simple. If you have a simple one, then you don't get reactions, or you don't get funny reactions. You get the basic stuff, right? So I have one conspiracy theory that I add to the comments. Stuff like Hillary let Trump win the election so he would let her continue to launder her money, right? That one is that'll get some reactions. Or I have another one that is the Chinese government chooses the US president, right? And then I watch the weird comments roll in. People will be like, "Oh yeah, they're friends. That's why he wants to let her launder money because he launders or she launders his money too, right?" Or the Chinese government wants to collapse the U.S. economy, and that's why they choose the president, right? Then you get the generic stuff like, "That's right, lock her up," or "She lost because the media," or yeah. And for the Chinese one, they're like, "A foreign government can't decide a U.S. election. That's not right." And yeah, so I don't respond to these comments, but they're there and I get to read them, and that's pretty funny to me, right? Instead of just like reading them and then spending my time reading them, I just add to the fire a little bit, and I think that's pretty funny. All right.
Have you ever heard of a YouTube rabbit hole? Well, if you haven't, it's when people watch so many YouTube videos that they change their mind about something. For example, some people will watch a bunch of videos on flat Earth and then they have a belief that the Earth is flat, right? The people who believed that the Earth was flat were people from 500 years ago. If you brought your phone to those people and they saw your phone, they'd burn you because they think you're a witch. So why would you have the same beliefs as them, right? And then I have some questions about these YouTube rabbit holes and the people who change their beliefs after watching them. One question I have is how long are these rabbit holes, right? Because I watched The Office for an hour and I still don't think it's funny. So is it for more than an hour? About an hour? I need to know this. And then this is a problem that needs to be fixed, right? To be clear, that problem is stupidity. We need to get the stupidity out of these people who are getting their minds changed after watching YouTube videos. So, I have a couple ideas about this. The first thing is we need to take away their phones, and that way they can't watch videos and have stupid opinions after that, right? Next, we need to give them encyclopedias from A to Z, right? And then this is their entertainment from now on. They can't watch TV, they can't watch videos, they can't go on social media, right? That would be one step, right? But they have the ability to get their phones back. And how they would do that is they'd read every one of those encyclopedias, right? Um, and this is a test for them. They don't have to do it, but they can, and they'll learn more. So maybe when we give them back their phones, they will be smarter and they won't be convinced by only a couple of videos, right? And then we give them a test. So that way we can test if they actually know the things in those encyclopedias, right? Creating smarter citizens for the world, right? I also have one idea. We can find the people who make these videos, and then once we find them, we beat the shit out of them, right? Until they delete their videos. And then if they want to make another video like that, we find them again, and then we beat the shit out of them. So that way, they don't make any more videos, and we cut the problem out right at the source. You know what the worst texting feature is? Group messages. Have you ever been a part of group message? The worst group messages are group messages with like 10 people. They're all using different devices, or not all of them, but like there's iPhone, iPads, Androids, Microsoft phones, and they're all in different time zones, and they don't respect it. The people on the West Coast, they get the messages from people on the East Coast at like 6 in the morning, maybe even 5, and it's never anything important. It's like stuff like, oh, I'm heading to work now, right? I always feel like texting back, Aunt Karen, like you don't care that I'm sleeping, I don't care where you are, right? And then you can't leave the group message for some reason, and it's because Apple hates you. It's 10 different people, and every time you delete it, it'll pop right back up when a new message pops up, right? You can put it on silent to not get the notifications, but when that happens, you won't get the notifications, but every time you open your phone, you see that there's a message. If it's one or two, you think, did my phone not ring? Is there something wrong with it? And if it's 20 minutes, you'll think, did I win the lottery? Or why are people messaging me all this good news, right? The worst group messages are with family, right? Because, at least with my family, I feel like there's a competition to outdo other people on someone's birthday. Your grandma will be like, happy birthday, put some emojis. Then your first aunt will like do happy birthday with the emojis and a gif. And then there's that next aunt who will like get a drone to come to your window and drop like a little banner that says happy birthday, right? And they do this for everyone's birthday. Your aunt didn't rent that drone, she owns it, right? Um, so this happens like 8 or 9 times a year. Um, yeah, there's all these group messages um, about like people reacting to those messages, right? It's like, oh, grandma likes this. There's the there's just all these emotions. It doesn't matter which one there are. And I always wonder, I'm like, what do these people do for a living that they can spend so much time texting, right? Like, Aunt Karen, what the fuck do you do? And how can I do that? Because apparently your job doesn't care that you don't do any work.
Why does Apple focus so much on the camera? Hardly anyone needs a really good camera. And the people that need a good camera, they bought a camera that isn't attached to their phone. So, you know what's going to end up happening with these cameras that Apple keeps improving? People are going to use them to take pictures of their ugly kids. Apple should focus on something that everyone can use, like a battery that lasts 1 week. See, that's a product for everyone. No one's going to complain about only having to charge your phone once a week. That's awesome. But I really want to stop seeing pictures of people's ugly kids. And I have a solution for this. Apple, when someone buys their phone online, or just in general, they should ask them if they have kids or not. And if someone says yes, then they send them a custom phone that has a bad camera. And this camera is like 1980s quality photos. That's what it makes. See, this benefits everyone. Not only do I not have to see pictures of people's ugly kids, but they might stop taking pictures of their kids altogether, which is fantastic. Apple benefits because they can save money with a 1980s quality camera on a phone. I bet you it's cheaper to produce, right? So they're saving money on the production side, but they can still charge like $1,000 for their phones, right? So at the same time, they should have an option for people that they can give their family members a low quality camera, or yeah, a low quality camera phone, right? That way they can choose the people that they don't want to see pictures of their kids, right? And then hospitals can give free phones out to couples as they're leaving the hospital. Just stop it altogether, right? I think that would be great. This might even get people to stop having kids, right? Because they'll stop being jealous of people who take pictures of their kids and then want kids. So they won't have kids for that reason. And I have this theory that some people, they only have kids to just post pictures of them on social media. Like, oh my God, look at Megan in her Halloween outfit. Or, oh my God, my kid's reading level is like 4th grade and he's only in 2nd grade, even though his comprehension level is like 1st grade. So, he's very smart. So, this idea not only helps me, helps Apple, but it prevents bad parents, which helps society.
Does anyone have a video doorbell? I'm wondering if they actually prevent crime. My feeling is that they don't. It's a way for the owners of that video doorbell to watch people steal their stuff, because the camera is easy to avoid. You wear a hoodie, you look down, you'll never be seen. The owner of the house can identify you to the cops, period, right? The voice feature allows the owner of the house to yell while someone is stealing their stuff. Hey, hey, get back here, right? The voice feature can't really do anything but that. It would be better to get a tall gate, right? It's more effective because they'd have to climb over it. And it's one payment. I think with the video doorbells, you have to do multiple payments. One is better than many in terms of payments. There's some things you have to figure out first. Like, you're going to need to find a guy to install the gate, then make sure it fits. If that all works out, then you have to get it installed, and everything might not work out. So I thought of a better solution. Keep the video doorbell, then get a tiger and put a tiger in a cage and put that cage on the lawn, right? Then get a remote to open and close the cage. Odds are people will stop looking at your house to steal your stuff. If you see a stranger trying to steal your stuff, then release the tiger. They'll go away soon, and then, then you'll stop having a stranger problem. There are some issues with this idea, though, unfortunately. Some people might have trouble getting a tiger. So here's the solution for that. You can always substitute the tiger. It doesn't have to be a tiger. It could be a lion. It could be a cheetah. It could be a cougar. Any one of those will work, right? Unfortunately, though, it's more work to maintain the tiger now. You have to feed the tiger. You have to make sure it gets water. You have to make sure it has a lot of room in that cage to, go around and get that exercise. Because if your tiger, doesn't work out, then it's kind of pointless to have the tiger, because if your tiger isn't worked out, then when it attacks the person might be able to fight back. And that's what you don't want, right? But then there's also the problem that once you release the tiger to attack that person, if the person doesn't run away, if the person runs away and the tiger goes to chase after it, you might lose your tiger. Then you have to find another tiger, and that may have been a struggle for you already. Then you have to go through that again. So yeah, alright. Our devices are getting smarter, but the average person is getting dumber. Some people can't remember other people's phone numbers, right? Because we no longer have to remember the phone number. We used to have to dial it in, and each time that we used to call them, right? But now we just scroll. We go to the contact app in our phones, and there's the name. We don't need to know the number. It doesn't matter, right? Right. And then no one knows how to get anywhere new anymore, right? We used to have to figure it out, have the directions, use a map. But now we use Google Maps, and we just put it in our phones, and the app will take us there, right? These are just like basic things that the average person doesn't remember. It's much worse for some people, right? There are people dumber than the average person, right? These are people that never put their phones down. There's some people that have a seeing eye person, right? So that they can be on their phone 24/7, walking and giving their phone full focus. Those are the dumbest people society has to offer, right? Because they're never going to achieve anything, right? You can't achieve anything by being on your phone 24/7, right? And what are they doing on their phone? They're not doing anything important. They're liking things on Instagram. They're on Twitter, right? You can't interact with these people either. They only talk about what's on their phone, what they see on their phone. if they stop using their phone, then they're not interesting, right? They're not interested in interacting with you either. Um, so, what's the solution to dealing with these people? I have one. Steal their phone. They'll need something else to do. They'll need to find something else to do, right? These people are dumb, so I'm not entirely sure what they would do to be productive, or even if they would be productive. But it's better than looking at Instagram all day. Uh, what someone should do is create a phone rehab. They would help the people without their phones readjust to society, and become a productive member of society. I think in some cases, or in some places, that would be $1 million idea. Do you ever leave your computer to get water or something? Maybe leave for like 2 minutes, and then when you come back, your computer's in the middle of an update? What could possibly be so important that as soon as I leave, my computer starts automatically updating itself, right? As long as no one can see my search history, I don't care for updating my computer, right? The worst part is that it tricks me. It'll be like at 15%, and then it'll jump up to 30%, and then it'll go back down to 25%. Is it 15, 20, or 30%? Don't mess with me, just tell me the right number. I have a theory about why these updates happen. Before the updates happen, I'm always productive. I'm writing or editing. Then, because the updates take so long, I forget what I was doing. I end up watching TV when my computer finishes the update. So, my theory is that Microsoft does the automatic updates to prevent people from creating things and moving up in the world. As soon as these updates happen, people stop being productive, right? They have an opening to do the automatic update when I get up from my chair, and they know this. So Microsoft forces an update so that I have to stop working. Here's my evidence. There's no way for me to prevent an automatic update. If they didn't want to be sneaky about the automatic updates, then they would let me stop them. Why do automatic updates? Here's my theory. To prevent people from creating products that will make them lose money, right? So let's say I'm working on a Microsoft competitor. They know this because they see what I'm doing on the computer. So when I'm working on that product, they do an automatic update as soon as I leave the computer on and I get up. So that way, I stop working on my Microsoft competitor, and that way, I never finish creating the product, right? We must rise up against these automatic updates. We have to figure out a way to stop them from happening, and so that way, we can be more productive and more productive members of society and take down Microsoft and their automatic updates. Who's with me?
There are companies that want to put a microchip in your brain. So what this microchip will do is it'll make you work more. So as soon as you want to leave work and go home, these companies will turn on the microchip, and then it'll make you work more and you won't go home. But there's some good news about this technology. For any technology, the first people who get it are rich people, and it's pretty expensive, and it comes with a lot of problems too. So that's good news. Kind of like hair growth solutions, where at first you can really tell that someone was bald and they paid for the solution, and now they're a little bit better, where you have trouble noticing that someone's bald or they were bald, right? So for microchips, this means that rich people will try it and they might get their brains fried, right? So this is good and will lead to two things happening, right? The average person, though their work quality will go up because their average work will look better because they're the next best work quality, right? So the next thing that will happen is if the chip actually kills them, we could take their money and use it for more important things instead of using money to go to Mars. You could use that money to improve Earth instead and make things better for everyone, right? Instead of just rich assholes. So, what's going to happen to everyone else when all these rich assholes go away? I've thought about this. You can do a couple things with these chips once they're improved and better and ready for normal people to use them. You could use the chip and turn it on in the morning and work 4 hours instead of 8 hours. But now you have all this time, right? You have 4 extra hours. What are you going to do with those hours? You could learn a skill and use that skill to quit your job. Maybe learn how to paint and then learn how to sell paintings, right? There's going to be one problem that shows up when these chips go mainstream, and that's that these chips are going to create rich assholes again because people are going to use them to make money, right? And become billionaires. So the solution to this problem is to create a new technology to fry those rich assholes' brains, right? So it's just going to be a cycle of rich assholes showing up and then frying their brains. So someone has to create this new technology. Really, the lesson here is if you see a billionaire get a chip in their brain, wait 5 to 10 years before you get a chip in your brain.
Am I the only one who thinks all these sharing economy apps are weird? These apps where you can get a ride, have someone bring you food, or even stay in someone's house. These are all things that I heard not to do with strangers growing up. My mom would always say, "Don't get a ride from strangers." Now she asks me to help her get a stranger to take her to the airport. Now we have strangers bring us food. She always told me not to accept candy from strangers. You don't know what those people can do to the food. Then we have them pick us up and stay in their house. I wasn't allowed to go in strangers' houses as a kid either. Nothing's changed really. My mom didn't want me to hang around strangers because you never know what these people do in their free time. That guy picking you up could have had an orgy in his back seat last week. You don't know how well he cleans his car after that. That guy picking up your food could have had an orgy just before that in his car. You don't know how well he's cleaned his hands after that. Then he's touching your food, touching the bag of food. Then right after he does that, you touch the same areas and then touch your food, right? And also, you have to be mindful of serial killers, right? You never know who's a serial killer. Those people in the neighborhood always say they were totally normal and quiet. These apps, they're a serial killer's dream. They sign up and they have access to thousands of victims and they have thousands of ways to kill people, right? Your driver could just take you in the middle of nowhere and kill you. That guy picking up your food can easily open up the container, put some poison in it, and you won't be able to know whether he's poisoned it or not until hours later. And then you might not be able to do anything after that, right? That guy whose house you're staying in, he knows the house way better than you do. He can easily just sneak up on you and kill you in your sleep, right? You never know. At least when I was a kid, it was local strangers. He lived down the street, um, and you knew him. So you knew just to like stay away from his house, right? You don't know these app strangers, and the apps aren't going to help you get those guys, right? They're going to say, he's a good earner. We don't want him arrested. Um, and then in 10 years, Netflix will release a documentary about the sharing app serial killer. Amazon delivery drones are the dumbest invention. Apparently, the drones can get you something in an hour after you order it. There's nothing you need from Amazon that you need in under an hour. If you need something in under an hour, get off your ass and go to the store. If you really need your Oreos, there's a store half a mile from you. These drones are going to end up making people fatter. People will start to order random food because they can get it without having to move, right? They eat more of it and they end up getting fatter, not fatter. Because the people using drone delivery for food are already fat, right? Before the dumbest invention, there was a vending machine on wheels. It would go around college campuses and try to get people to buy things. This was stupid because they're charging $5 for a bag of chips. There are vending machines everywhere on a college campus. These vending machines will only charge $1 for a bag of chips. Basically, the vending machines on wheels were charging $4 to save people from going 200 extra steps. Don't these people know that college kids don't have money? They're not going to pay $4 extra for a bag of chips. But Amazon was like, hold my beer. They'll stop using drones when they start to lose money. I bet the drones will hit people on the head and they'll start to sue. Or people will hit the drones and steal the stuff, right? So they'll start breaking the drones and Amazon has to pay to fix them, and they'll start stealing other people's things, right? So they lose money in two ways from the drones, right? I bet some drones will start dropping stuff on the roof of people's houses, and that way the person doesn't even get their stuff, and Amazon has to do another run with their drone, right? And then they'll come up with something even stupider, right? I bet they'll eventually come up with something like parachuting midgets at people's houses to deliver things instead. Has anyone ever bought anything online? I recently bought shoes online, and they keep showing me ads for the same exact shoe. Why do they keep following me around online, everywhere? Dude, I don't want to buy the same shoes that I already bought. I have them. I don't need another pair. They should show me things that would complement my shoes. Maybe show me some ads for matching socks or pants or maybe a t-shirt even, or a hat. Things like that. It doesn't help to show me ads for things I already have. I don't want two pairs of them, right? So imagine if I bought these shoes at Target, and then a Target employee followed me around everywhere, and they were showing me the shoes everywhere I went. They show up to my work and say, hey, you bought these shoes, remember? You want to buy them again? Like, no, that's not a thing. Then when I come home, they knock on the door and they go, hey, you bought these shoes, right? Imagine that. Then everyone would work for Target because you'd have to have everyone remind everyone of the things that they bought, right? We'd be all chasing down people, showing them what they bought. Uh, they We'd go door to door in neighborhoods and then go, hey, you bought these shoes. Run down to the next house. Hey, you bought this lamp. It would be funny watching these people run around with more private purchases, let's say. One guy in the neighborhood that bought a gun, the Target employee, he's running around with in a neighborhood with that gun, and like the cops get called because there's a guy running around with a gun in the neighborhood, um, right? And then that Target employee has to explain why he has a gun. Officer, I have to go around with this gun because this guy bought it, right? I'm just showing him what he bought, right? Or imagine the Target employee that has to go around with the sex doll, right? Hey, Chad, you bought this thing over the weekend. Have you used it yet? Right? And then all the guys at work would start asking questions, be like, hey, Chad, how's that going? You get called into your boss's office, and he goes, so, Chad, I noticed that you bought a sex doll from the guy that works at Target. He kept showing you it, right? How is it? How do you like it so far, right? He's like, I was thinking about getting one myself, but I don't know. But how do you like yours? Is it any good? Let me know, right? So yeah. Are you guys on any dating apps? I'm on Tinder. One trend that annoys me is when women put looking for an adventure in their profile. That gets an automatic no swipe from me. I don't care how attractive she is. Sometimes I actually do want to swipe yes to these women and ask them, like, what do you consider an adventure to be? Just to see what they say, right? Because you never know. But I think it's going to be, I have an idea of what they're going to say, right? And it's like, hey, Megan, going to Trader Joe's and picking from their million chips and picking up some coconut oil is not an adventure, right? The coconut is always the same, Megan. It never changes. And just pick one bag of chips. You can try a new bag of chips that next time you go pick up some chips at Trader Joe's, right? Yeah. And then there are the other women. I bet they think that going to a football game and getting drunk is an adventure, right? How original. Psh. The fact that she has adventure in her bio tells me she's boring, right? You know why? Because 60% of the other women on Tinder have the same bio, right? Maybe they should get together and find something new to put in their bio, right? You know what an adventure is, Megan? It's going on a ride along with Batman and watching him kick the shit out of the Joker. Or, something actually real, right? What's something that you can actually do that's an adventure? I know. Driving around your city, whatever city you live in, no judgment here, and trying the different ice cream places in one day, and then choosing the best one, right? At least you'll remember it, Megan. You won't remember that football game that you went to and got drunk at, because you do that every weekend, right? When you do it every weekend, it doesn't really matter how often you do it. It's not an adventure. But, I've been thinking about it. You know who these adventure women are for? They're for the guy equivalent of an adventure woman. And the guy equivalent is guys that have a picture with a fish in their profile, right? They can go together on their adventure fishing, and it's a perfect fit. No one will complain. Megan will get her adventure, and that guy will get his day fishing, right? Everyone gets what they want.
I've been watching a lot of serial killer documentaries on Netflix, and it kind of made me realize that a millennial could never be a serial killer, just because millennials like to use the internet and document their lives on different platforms. So this is how I imagine it would go for a millennial if they were a serial killer. The first thing they would do is they would announce their desire to become a serial killer on Facebook. They'd create Pinterest boards of interesting ways of how to kill someone. Then they'd announce their victim on Instagram with a picture, maybe even tagging them in the picture. Then they would stalk their victim live on Twitch, going through their daily routine. Then they would get ideas from other serial killers on Reddit. Then they would go buy the equipment on Amazon and have it delivered by a drone. Then, as soon as they finish killing them, they would tweet it out. Then they would create a snap story with a filter in the body, opening the mouth of the victim to make sure the dog tongue filter works. Then they would do an Instagram story from an Uber riding with the dead body. Then, as soon as they got home, they would have food delivered through DoorDash after that hard day's work. Then they would take a picture with the body for their Tinder profile, like showing off that they've killed someone. Then they would FaceTime their friends to get their opinions about how they did. And then they would create a TikTok dance with the body. Then they would create a YouTube tutorial about how to get rid of the body with acid. Then they would write a Tumblr post about why they did it. Then they would add it to their LinkedIn accomplishments and get told by recruiters and hiring managers that they don't have enough experience. They need at least 1 or 2 kills, or 2 or 3 kills to be hired. You may only get away with this once or twice before getting caught. Once you get caught, you have to do interviews for your Netflix documentary that'll come out in 20 or 30 years. Then you have to send the family candy that is random and anonymous. You don't even know what candy you'd be sending to them. Then you play iMessage games with the family members until you actually go to jail. The difference is that real serial killers, they don't interact with anyone. They were the silent guy in the corner of the street. No one really talked to them, and that's how they were able to do it. They didn't announce things. They just went about their day. That's how you become a serial killer. You know, I have a way to get rid of politicians very slowly that'll help the government become more efficient. So that way, old pieces of shit in the government, they stop living until they're like 80. I call it murder by donuts. And here's what you do, is you get some rich guy to send government officials donuts every day. Like, just send them a box of donuts every day. And the reason why this would work is because government officials are used to getting shit for free, so they're not really going to question it. But the thing is, you have to keep this a secret, because if word gets out that government officials are getting donuts to shorten their lives, then they'll stop eating the donuts that they get. And the good thing about this is that you'll be stimulating the local economy of wherever your most hated government official lives, because you're going to have a standing order of 12 donuts every day. So that means the economy is getting more money, right? And it might start to have a more positive impact sooner. So let's say the guy you're sending the donuts to is like 50 years old. He's already starting to have health problems. So he as soon as he starts eating a donut every day, that's gonna add on to it. So he might start going to the doctor more, have more health issues, have to miss work, and so that might end up forcing him to retire a little bit more sooner, right? And you can switch it up every once in a while instead of just sending him donuts every day. Send him chocolate, send him ice cream, send him a cake on his birthday, and that way he doesn't get bored of his the donuts that are being sent to him every day. And the reason why I keep saying he is because men don't have a lot of self-control, and white men run the world, right? And a woman won't be eating donuts every day, so it's more likely to work on them, right? Yeah. And the thing is that this doesn't have to just apply to government officials. This can apply to you at work. You if you have a person at work that you are kind of like at the same level as them, and your work rivals, right? So you can start feeding them donuts or sugary things to get their work to be like the quality of their work to not be as good. And so what you do is you eat with them. You go to the cafeteria and then you say, "Hey, maybe we should get dessert." And then what you do is you get a small dessert and then try to convince them to get like the huge dessert. And that way they're a little slower at the end of the day. And then the quality of their work is slower. And once they start doing worse, your average work will look better and you'll get promoted. And there are also foods that they look at like better than donuts health-wise, but they're not. What you got to do is you got to find those foods, and what you do is you have the office manager that runs the office and snacks, or that supplies the break room, is you got to get her to have one of those sugary, healthy snacks in the break room, and then you bring your rival one every day. Just be like, "Hey, you look a little tired. Thought you could use this." And they think you're giving them something healthy, but you're not. You're giving them sugar. And then you might get a promotion. You might become the manager. And the thing that you can do is you start having donuts in the office every day. And the reason why you want to do this is so that no one has better work than you and they can't take your job. All right.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed yourself.